My name is Filipa Lancastre and I'm a PhD student here at Nova SBE. And I've just started my PhD program very recently, last September to be more precise. And I've chosen the topic of social entrepreneurship because of two reasons. First, because I've very recently been involved in social organizations and I find them very interesting and very relevant in the times we are right now. And second, because previously to my involvement in social organizations, I have been a strategic consultant myself at McKinsey, and I have, so it is for me very strange not to look at a new environment and question lots of things, namely how can we leverage business practices and use them in social organizations. And so I've decided to choose this topic, and I've later on learned that it is a very relevant topic, not only in academia, because it's a booming research field, but also within practitioners. Practitioners are very interested and devoting a lot of attention to this topic because we have enormous social problems nowadays in our world, and it is very difficult to tackle all these social problems using the same strategy of traditional charities. So practitioners believe that social entrepreneurship is a way to solve social intractable problems. And so my first question, because I'm not exactly from this sector, is to learn what are those social entrepreneurship phenomena. And I've started looking at some very celebrated international and national examples of social entrepreneurship organizations. Maybe some of you know the Grameen Bank is one of the most reputed cases of social entrepreneurship. It was the father of the micro financing in Bangladesh to empower poor people. Another very interesting example is Aravind eye care system. The Aravind eye care system is known to be the McDonald's of the eye surgery. They try to reduce costs and try to use very simple eye treatments, and leveraging on the people that can pay for that eye treatment care, they will support people that cannot access the eye treatments, and so they actually are treating very poor people as well. Another very relevant example nationally wise is Colorado. Maybe some of you have heard, because Colorado was recently awarded by our President of the Republic. And it's a very simple concept. Colorado is actually just developing a code for colors. There are 10% of the male population is daltonic. They cannot see colors. They cannot identify those colors. And for that reason, Colorado came up with a code that enabled people to realize what color they were talking about. And this is very relevant for many reasons. For instance, when you're using the subway lines, the lines are coded in a color, but they cannot see the color, so they actually cannot see which line they are taking. So in a very simple way, they created a code that included and tackled this daltonic problem. So I've learned about these social entrepreneurship organizations, and I wondered if the organizations that were closer to me, that in some way I knew, could they also be called social entrepreneurship organizations? Why did it care? The main reason why I cared about this is because I'm interested in finding out how can we leverage these organizations to create more social impact, and how can social impact be created. But I need to define first what the universe is. And there is no single definition. This is what I've learned when I started studying this phenomena. There is no single definition about social entrepreneurship. And so I was dealing with a lot of complexity, And I really wanted to run away from all this uncertainty as quickly as possible, although many people told me that it was really the most natural thing for a PhD student to face uncertainty and to try to run away from it. I was really trying to close this stage, but Luis actually suggested I would use the framework to see if I could tap this problem and follow up with my program, with my PhD program. So how did the framework help me? So first of all, it really made me, I think it helped me in two ways, at least in two ways. First, it helped me embrace uncertainty. Instead of trying to run away from it, I embraced uncertainty and the diversity of definitions that were there. Second, it helped me by defining a process and by designing my research. And so it was easier for me to see how, I didn't have the solution, I don't have the solution right now, but I can see the process developing, and I can see what stages I need to follow in order to achieve a solution. So my first step was exactly as I was telling you, to define the research question. And the research question that came from all the literature review and some interviews I've done with practitioners on the field was, how can we define, how can we conceptualize and measure social entrepreneurial activity? Moving into stage 2, where I did embrace this uncertainty and diversity of definitions, I reviewed literature thoroughly, looking for as many definitions as I could possibly find from social entrepreneurship. And I did find 40 very different and relevant definitions of social entrepreneurship to make sure there was a theoretical saturation. And with these 40 definitions, I've tried to do two things. One is to make sense and to classify these definitions according to two different characteristics. And second, to identify the dimensions that constituted the social entrepreneurship phenomena. After this phase, and I will try to move on to my third stage, which is assess. And in here, I will try to validate the dimensions with experts, not only within the academia, but also from practitioners, and conduct exploratory factor analysis to assess which dimensions and items are relevant to incorporate the construct. I will then follow up with narrowing it down to conceptualize the phenomena and including some filters, because the dimensions that I will find out in my third stage won't all be relevant for all definitions. I will choose one definition, and this will narrow down the dimensions that are important to describe the phenomena. And finally, I will do some research on the phenomena by using the validated measure and test hypotheses, which was what I really wanted to do from the beginning, with scientific rigor. So moving on to stage 2, again, what have I found out from analyzing the 40 definitions? So as I told you, I have looked to all these definitions and tried to classify them in two different ways. First, does the definition, what is the relevance of the social purpose in the definition? Is it any social mission is considered to be social entrepreneurial, or did it have to be a systemic transformation to be considered social entrepreneurial? So, and another way of looking at the definitions was through its means, meaning did it have to have any management practices? Any management practices were good enough to consider an initiative social entrepreneurial, or did it have to show some entrepreneurial orientation, some entrepreneurial characteristics? For example, proactivity, social innovation, risk-taking, etc. And plotting the 40 dimensions this way, in this matrix, I was able to identify 3 different clusters. The most exclusive definitions are what I call the impact innovators, and they include around 13 definitions. And for these kinds of definition, only very few initiatives are considered to be social entrepreneurial. They have to have widespread impact, they have to have innovation, they have to be very relevant worldwide to be considered social entrepreneurial. But in that term, they are very exclusive. They don't include many initiatives. Okay. Then there are the second cluster, the entrepreneurial agents, which are, they don't really care about impact. They say there is social entrepreneurial activity just before they have reached the impact. There is such a social entrepreneurial activity before that. And a more inclusive kind of definition is the business like social organizations. So this is the third cluster. Finally, in identifying the dimensions, these are the main dimensions that I found present in some or all the definitions. The social mission is common to all definitions, and then there are specific dimensions that were related to specific definitions. So these are will be the base of my next step in my PhD, which is to identify which dimensions are really relevant to identifying the phenomena, and how relevant, and how can we measure them. So thank you very much. And